Now, the second entity is an entity that I'm affiliated with, so there's full disclosure here. It's a company called Aspiring Minds that I helped two engineers start. One is a young kid from MIT, Varun Agarwal, who approached me when I was giving a speech in New York a few years ago, and his brother from the Indian Institute of Technology, which is sort of like the MIT of India, in New Delhi. And the two brothers wanted to do something with what they called machine learning. To cut a long story short, we decided that, and I was motivated primarily by my academic work, saying that here is a particular institutional void, the filling of the need for a certification agency that really needs to be done, that would be socially enormously useful. What has happened is the Agarwal brothers, the two boys as I call them, have done a fabulous job of creating these certifying agencies in a variety of gamuts and are the best assessment agency that I know of, certainly in India and in developing countries, possibly even in the world by many criteria. The operational aspect here is that they have teamed up with NSDC to provide assessment for, I would say, a dozen different vocational categories, to go to the deepest reaches of village India to find people who might be suited to take up careers in different vocations, and to do the assessment before, to channel them to the right approach, and after to make sure that they're actually doing it, and increasingly are becoming the standard of choice. Now, I am so excited by the social multiplier here. Think about what's really going on. Just the act of assessing means that you can take raw, untapped human capital that is essentially languishing, and that's not an overstatement. It is essentially languishing in different parts of the country, and advise people in an environment where there is a complete institutional vacuum. Here's the idea of institutional void again. These kids, young men and women, have no idea what they're suited for. And along comes this simple automated set of artificial intelligence powered tests that they can take quickly on a telephone, even verbally sometimes, on a little cheap tablet computer that costs $35 or $40 in India, on the PC, just amazing. And they can say, look, you should go this way and you should go this way. And that already dramatically improves the odds that the training will be fruitful. And to fast forward, once they're done with the training, which is not very long, they can be assessed before they are then brought face to face with potential employers, which Aspiring Minds does not do, but they are then put out in the world, and Aspiring Minds tries to say, in conjunction with the National Skill Development Corp, that these are people who are, so in this case it would go to hospitals and say, these are great healthcare workers, or to community organizations, or to NGOs, or to people who are developing insurance programs in rural India, and say, here are these pool of workers, and we believe that this category here, this 10 or 15%, is much better than the rest of the pool. And we can come back and retest them every so often. So we have two entities, NSDC and Aspiring Minds, both in my mind great examples of entrepreneurship. The first one, NSDC, even though it's part of the state, I emphatically consider it to be an entrepreneurial effort. It is policy entrepreneurship. It's somebody within the government ranks, within the bureaucracy, and I don't actually know who it is, stepped up and said, here is something that really needs to be done. We keep talking about the so-called skilling gap. Scarcely a week goes by without some fancy foundation showing up in a country like India or a continent like Africa and saying, the big problem in development is matching our talent to possible opportunities. And that's true. But who's doing something about it? A lot of people are trying, but we need clever solutions. And NSDC as a funding catalyst to fund entrepreneurs who can then solve this problem by filling the institutional voids that are preventing vocational education is a great example of policy entrepreneurship engineered by the state, even though we normally think of the state in India as not working very well. On the other hand, the Agarwal brothers, youngsters from MIT and IIT New Delhi, are your standard entrepreneurs. They want to build what we call a social enterprise with a for-profit orientation so they can plow the money back in and scale this very quickly, that allows talent to be channeled to the best use. And they have built a viable enterprise serving at this point 600-odd corporations in India, reaching out to 3,000 colleges, sweeping up talent from across the length and breadth of the country using technology and channeling it to the best use. So these are two examples of people who could fill the healthcare certification institutional void. And the general principle here is that ultimately we need entrepreneurship to fill the voids. And it is the filling of the voids that not only constitutes entrepreneurship in and of itself, but it permits other entrepreneurs to do the kinds of things that they would like to do.